Welcome to Good Vibes, the podcast that brings the timeless beauty of Eishes Chayil into the rhythm of real life. Each week, we unpack one pasuk, not as a shir, but as a spark for honest conversations, refreshing insights, and a little Torah light you can carry with you. Because meaning shouldn't feel heavy, and connection doesn't have to wait for quiet. This is Good Vibes, for the Jewish woman who's doing a lot and still reaching deeper.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're going to be speaking about pasuk ches. I'm actually so excited to talk about this topic and this lesson because it just may be the most practical topic we've discussed so far. I would say practical and relevant. Or at least I feel like a broad spectrum of people are really going to relate to it. I think that it's just such a relatable topic for so many women wherever we find ourselves in life. So here we go. Okay, so pasuk ches states, it's very interesting. The literal translation is that she girds her loins with might and strengthens her arm. Right? Like I said, that's a little interesting. That's a little bit like, what does that even mean? So we're going to explore it. But at face value, that's a very interesting pasuk, which honestly, it sounds like almost like just a description of something. We are going to delve into it. So let's look at what loin girding and arm strengthening actually mean on a deeper level. So on this pasuk, the Mishpacha brings down how Eishes Chayil, the lashon that he uses is miskaberet ba'atzma. She overcomes and rises above by herself to continue doing what she needs to be done. That's the lashon that he uses. That's the wording that he uses, that she within herself finds the strength. The miskaberes comes from the lashon of gvura, of strength. She finds the courage and the strengths within herself to overcome and to continue doing what she needs to do. Meaning this lashon of girds her loins and strengthens her arm is talking about how she has challenges. It's not that she doesn't. The Eishes Chayil very much has challenges, but she has it within herself, her strength. She draws strength from herself, draws courage and rises above and keeps pushing forward. The Malbim says that this is in all aspects of life. Her home life, her work life, her ruchnius life, all aspects. The Eishes Chayil is someone who has the strength within herself and has the tools and the self-awareness and the resources to be able to bring that strength forth and continue pushing forward, continue moving forward, even when something hard comes her way, which inevitably something hard is going to come her way. I think this also teaches us that sometimes like the Western world of like a wife is sitting at home and getting her nails done and drinking coffee, which I'm a big fan of coffee and nails. I'm not, bashing that at all. But as if the wife, the Western version of an Eishes Chayil, quote unquote, doesn't have any challenges and everything comes easy to her. And we see from here so clearly, like not only is that not true, she does have challenges and she has the strength to overcome these challenges. And she has the courage within herself to rise above, to find the strength within herself to keep pushing forward. So with that deeper understanding of a seemingly strange act of girding loins and arm strengthening, we can now understand what this pasuk is coming to teach us. The Eishes Chayil taps into the power within herself, the strength, the resources, and she overcomes the challenges to keep moving forward. And like I said at the beginning, I think this is such a practical lesson, such a practical tool, because we all do this. We all do this to some extent at one time or another. At times, we all put one foot in front of the other, just because that's what we need to do. And in many areas of our lives, we try to get out of this rut. We try to get out of it, and we're still going, We're putting one foot in front of the other, trying to find strength within ourselves to keep pushing forward, to keep moving forward. And we hope or we aim to at least try to shift from survival mode to thriving. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. I feel like, I guess it depends on the situation. But as women, in whatever stage of life we're in, Hashem throws something our way that he believes we can overcome, and he believes is part of our tafkid to overcome this, and that we have it within ourselves to overcome it. And that's what we do. We find the strength within ourselves, and we put, again, like I said, we put one foot in front of the other. So luckily, I have here with me Mrs. Brown to shed some light on this topic. This idea of courageously moving forward, the hardship in all areas of our lives, and finding the strength within, locating that and having the ability to bring it out into our lives. So Mrs. Julie Devorah Brown is a Kala teacher, EFT practitioner, life coach, and proud mother of 11. Married for over 40 years. With warmth and wisdom, she helps Jewish married women who feel stuck in their relationships reconnect to their own strength and upgrade their marriages, even when their husbands aren't actively on board. So thank you so much, Julie Devorah, for being here with us. I'm so excited to hear what you have to share and add on this pasuk.
It is an honor to be here, and let's get to it.
Okay, amazing. So maybe you can start off by telling us a bit about your thoughts on this topic in general. What do you think about it? How do you deal with this topic in your line of work and the women that come to you?
It's a very, very, very good question. First of all, the point here that I think I need to mention is we don't need to be superwomen. And I think part of the problem is we go to either extreme. Either we're going to be the superwoman or we're going to be, I don't know, and I'm not talking bad about anybody. I'm just being a little bit graphic, depressed and stay in bed all day. In other words, like we go to either extreme. We don't know how to be in the middle and function in a balanced way. So what I would like to say about with the women that I work with, I was thinking to myself, I'm so lucky. The marriage that I have with my husband is quite nice. He's a really nice guy. And I'm really lucky. So like, why I'm in this line of work? It's not like I'm traumatized or anything and like, oh, I'm bouncing back and therefore I'm going to help the whole world. It's from the people that I see that I feel so bad that these women, when they look at their marriages or their life in general, it's kind of like, it's so hard.
Right.
It's really so, so hard. I don't want anybody to have to feel that way about their lives at all. And yes, there are hard things that are happening in our lives, but we don't have to feel like it's a heavy burden. We can look at it like a challenge, and halavai to be able to look at it like an opportunity. So basically, if a woman comes and whether it's a student or whether it's a client and their perspective is basically what needs a little bit of an upgrade. And I am going to very, very respectfully hold space for where that woman is right here and right now. And with that respect, I'm going to help her respect herself where she is right here and right now. And I believe that through the recognizing and acknowledging where she's at without all the stories running in her mind and all the justifications and all the righteousness, just to acknowledge right here, right now, I feel confused, angry, sad, fearful, whatever it might be. I believe that's the opening to where she can then, yes, dip into her inner strength and her inner courage, because that's what this pasuk is all about. Strength and courage, oz and omets. So it's something that's what I end up doing. I help them accept who they are and where they are. And at the same time, because of that, they'll be able to tap into what they're really made of. I was meeting with a client just recently, and we were saying, life happens. Life is going to continue to happen. So even when things are wonderful and great, rather than say to yourself, oh, when's the other shoe going to drop, to embrace and be grateful for what I do have. Now, that's very cliche-ish, and you can't tell that to somebody that's, living through a very difficult time.
Right.
But we do daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We say, please, Hashem, we don't ask to be tested. And of course, we know we're going to be tested. But we say, lo al yedei yisurim v'chalayim rayim. We definitely ask Hashem, don't test us. And as you said in the intro, we're going to have it. It's going to happen in our life. And as long as, this is the point here, as long as I recognize the strength that Hashem has given me, she'asani kirtzono, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has made me according to his will. And so the strength that I have, Ratzon and Sinor are very connected. The connection that I have with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the desires that I have in my life, that I have to be connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives me an awful lot of power, an awful lot of strength. Here I am, I'm a human being, and I've got lots of challenges in my life, a lot. I believe, though, that I'm also a very hopeful person, and I think that's really helpful because I'm hopeful, and I'm very non-judgmental. That's why I think those people that do come to me appreciate coming to me, because I'm not judgmental. I mean, I've got my judgments. Don't worry about that, girls. I've got my judgments, but I'm not too judgmental. And I think that helps me with myself as well. So when I look at life and I look at this pasuk, it is beautiful. You have the oz and you have the omet. You have the oz, which is strength, and you have the omet, which is courage. A colleague of mine, a wonderful woman named Miriam Esther Altman. She has something called home runners or something. I'm not quite sure exactly what she calls it, but she taught something to me that I thought was really beautiful. That the word "os" is in the word as ezer kenegdo. So we are all called an ezer kenegdo, but don't make a mistake, girls. You're not your husband's helper. He doesn't need your help. What? He doesn't need your help? No, no, no. He needs your encouragement. He needs you to energize him. And the word "os" here and the word "azer" here means that you can energize. So let's go back to me as a person. I need to first know how to do that for myself. When I'm able to learn how to energize myself, and when I'm able to find courage to be vulnerable with myself and with others, I believe that I can tap into what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving me as a woman specifically, which is this ability to, with the pasuk here that says that I'm able then take my life's challenges, events, opportunities, problems, and I'll be able to have what I need to keep going.
Okay, so there's so much to unpack. I'm so excited to get into this. The first thing that you said that really caught my attention was how we don't need to be Superwoman. And I think that is just whether you're in a stage of life right now where this is relatable to you or previously, we all know this phrase of being a Superwoman. And I think that we need to find the balance of it. That's really the key, meaning, and balance is going to look different for every woman, no?
Definitely, I agree with you. That's true. It's a personal thing, isn't it?
It's a personal thing. And I think two things that come to mind. First of all, if it's such a personal thing, right? It's not just like a blueprint where we're saying, okay, like buy pizza once a week for every wife to buy pizza once a week, because that's not the same thing. Maybe one person needs 3 times easy supper and another person in her stage of life right now doesn't. It's a balance. It's different for every person. And I think that the only way to achieve that balance is being in touch with yourself and knowing who you are and being honest. And like you said, knowing where you are right now, knowing and saying, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm scared. And you know what? Sometimes I'm happy. Sometimes I'm sad. Sometimes I have different emotions. And right now in this stage of life, I need pizza twice a week, or I need more help, or whatever it is. And the balance that she can kind of concoct and create for herself. And I also think that we have this belief of like, to be a Superwoman, everything has to be perfect. The way I kind of see it, and maybe Superwoman isn't the right word, but this balance to me is being Superwoman. This balance of what right here and right now is my tafkid. What right here do I need to put my efforts into? What is the most important thing for me, for my husband, for my family? And then if we have more kochos, then for Klal Yisrael, right? And once we take care of our home, we can start thinking about chesed, we can start thinking about the community. And when I find that balance, and again, it could be different from week to week, from day to day, depending on your life circumstances. But when you find that balance, that to me is like, okay, today I did my job as being Superwoman. Not that everything was perfect, not that everything was even great, not that everything was great, or not that everything was good. The kids were tantruming, supper was not happening, laundry was not happening. I was grumpy at times, but you know what? I did the best that I could in that moment to ground myself, try to get out of my funk, and be the best wife and the best mom that I could be in that moment. Was it a great day? Maybe not, but it was my Superwoman of today. It was my Superwoman of right now, and hopefully maybe tomorrow is going to be better. But every day, waking up and saying, I'm going to find my balance, whatever that is, and learning from our mistakes and moving forward. But that balance in my mind is being Superwoman. Being Superwoman is not being perfect, but being Superwoman is finding this balance that as a from Jewish woman, wife, and mother is so hard. Our roles are constantly changing. Our roles and our responsibilities it's so difficult. But that balance is like the gold. It's the Superwoman in my eyes.
You said it so beautifully. You really expressed yourself so, so beautifully. And I mean, ladies out there, can't you relate to everything that Rachelli just said? Doesn't that mamish land? Doesn't it land in your heart and mind, heart and soul? And I think it's important. A person really has the responsibility to themselves at the end of the day to be able to say, I did good.
And good enough. And it doesn't need to be perfect. Good enough is good. And sometimes I have a teacher in high school that would always say, like, Hashem is looking down and smiling at you. And it's like, if I had this day and it was a hard day, and like I said, things were just not happening. It was not a good day. I was in a bad mood, but I did my best and I tried. And at the end of the day, the kids were safe. The kids were happy. The kids were secure. My husband was happy. My husband was safe. My husband was secure. I was doing the best that I could. So Hashem's smiling down at me. Even if it's not the greatest day, and maybe for, next week I need to figure out a different technical setup. But that balance of, every day trying to find that balance, Hashem is, you tell me, you're the expert. But I think that's what makes Hashem happy, trying every day to serve him in the best way that we could with that balance.
Listen, I ain't no expert, lady. I'm not an expert. I'm just a little bit older than you. I've been around. But I will say that when you're in the thick of it, you deserve to give yourself a pat on the back as much as you can. And whatever you might need from your husband or your children or your mom or your best friend, if you know you need something, then that makes you into a wise woman, that you know how to give that to yourself. Again, I'm not speaking, I'll do this when I speak to my students. I'm looking at you and I'm not saying you're some JAT, Jewish American princess. You remember that, girls? A couple of decades ago, the Jap, that's not, we're not dealing with selfish women. We're dealing with women that are coming into themselves. You are queens. We are princesses. And we have to remember to own that about ourselves. And the way that you can fulfill your potential is to make sure that you have everything that you need. In the midbar, listen to this, all girls, listen to this. In the midbar, when we were going outside to collect the mun for our family, do you know what you would receive from a Kadosh Baruch Hu as a gift? I like to say, it was your birthday, and you go outside and you find this beautiful package with a beautiful bow on it. It says from a Kadosh Baruch Hu, happy birthday. And you open it up and you know what's there? You've got jewelry and makeup. What? In the midbar, we needed jewelry and makeup? Yes, because those are the tools of a married woman. So if you live on 2 floors, if you have a beautiful home and you have 2 floors, then I sure hope you have a broom upstairs and a broom downstairs, because you need your tools. So whatever those tools are, you have to figure that out. That's your privilege to figure out what you need in order to get yourself going every day and have the energy to energize others and have the courage to encourage others.
So how do you practically teach the women that come to you to do this? Meaning, first of all, I wonder if there's a difference between Oz and Atzma. I don't know. Maybe you can tell us. But regardless, even if we're not going to delve into that, practically a woman comes to you and she doesn't feel like she can take care of her needs and she doesn't feel like she has the strength to keep going forward. So how do you help her and coach her through? Maybe you can share with the audience some tips and perspectives and tools of, okay, I know that Hashem wants me to continue, but how? But where do I even go from here? How do I find this internal strength?
Right. So, of course, when you sit with a therapist or a practitioner, each one has their tools that are in their toolbox. So I like to right away go to whether it's the belief that she has in her mind, which is definitely causing her to have certain emotions in her body. So we try to center in on the emotions that are being generated because of the thoughts that she has. And once she can hopefully come to alleviate the intensity of the emotion that she's having, then her brain is back online and she'll be able to analyze that belief that she might have that it's not serving her so much anymore. That's how we do the therapy that we do, how I work with her. Otherwise, it's just very important for her to stop and say, wait a second, is there something that I can do that can help me? That's what I think. That's how I look at it.
As you're speaking, I'm noticing that there's almost like 2 components of it. And please correct me if I'm mistaken. There's from what I hear, the emotional, mental work, the therapeutic work, if you will, where, like you were saying, the beliefs and the emotions of the beliefs feed off each other, which, as you said that, I was like, that is mind-blowing. And I think that is so powerful. And that our beliefs and the way that we self-talk channels into our emotions, and then our emotions channel back into our beliefs, and it becomes this like figure 8 of, and when you put a stop to the cycle, when you don't like the cycle and you want to change it, you change your beliefs, you change your emotions, you change your emotions, you change your beliefs. And it's a beautiful, it's so eye-opening. And I just wanted to touch on that for a minute, but that's one aspect. And then the other aspect is, once we have that, let's see if there's something practically that we could do. Let's see if you need more help, if you need more support, if you need more time for yourself. Is there anything? I'm just throwing those out. You tell me if it's something else that you recommend.
No, you've got it, Rachelli, you've got it. Your mom is spot on. That's what I'm saying, that every woman has to come to trust and believe that she knows what she needs. I want you to know, the person that walks into my office, I want her to come to believe that there's something deep within her that she knows is right, that she knows that is what she really needs. That, to me, I believe that Kadosh Baruch Hu's message to us.
Meaning you believe that Hashem put it in every woman. Like it's something that we innately know. It's almost intuitive. And the way that I'm thinking about it is like sometimes like the smoke like covers it up. And like all the stuff that are happening in our life are so, might block it. But really underneath it, we know we can learn more about it and we can tap into it, but we have it within ourselves to know what we need. Is that what you're...
Definitely. Chochmas Nashim Bansa Beso. There's one of the psukim where we see that Chachmot Nashim, it's in plural. There's so many different amazing things out there to teach us. There's so many pieces of advice. There's so many helpers out there. Bansa Beso, but I'm the one that has to decide what's going to be best for me and my home.
Oh, it's so
It
beautiful.
has to be that way. I don't have to be independent. I grew up thinking independent meant you don't need anybody. No,
Right.
I'm sorry. That is not called being independent. Being independent means that I know how to stand on my own 2 feet and get what needs to be done for, I'll say for my Dalit Amos. But the fact that I can be interdependent is also very important. I should be
Right.
able to work with another person.
Right.
To be super dependent, we grow out of that, God willing. We grow out of that when we're younger. We
Right.
become independent, and then we become interdependent.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So
I love
I
that.
believe that every one of you ladies that are listening here, have to trust me, okay? Trust me. Trust me.
I trust Julie Devorah.
It's within you. Yes, girls, it's within you. But you said the great word. You said the word funk, right? All the funk. Yeah. Not a word for my generation. It's really cute. I love it. But there's a lot of funk, and if we can figure out how to get through the smoke, then we'll be able to see something more clearly. So what is the smoke? The smoke are certain thoughts that I keep having repetitively. It's the story that I'm telling myself. And the story that I tell myself could be modified if I'm able to, but sometimes so quickly it causes me to have an emotion that I'm stuck. I'm in that emotional rage, whether it's whatever emotion it might be. And then I'm going to behave a certain way.
Right.
So at one point, it's up to me to make a shift. Either I act differently, I think differently, or I on purpose feel differently. Something I have to do to break that cycle. And then I believe I'm going to come to a deep knowing. It has to be that way. Da'as, a deep knowing of who I am and what I need. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to call up and say, Mom, what would you do?
Right.
It doesn't
Right.
mean I'm going to cry to my husband and say, husband, I can't get it together. What can we do together? Can we work it out?
Right. Right. I think it's such a beautiful, we hear this verse of Bina Yisera, and when you're under the chuppah, you get Bina Yisera. And sometimes I say oh, my Bina Yisera, oh, okay, maybe, this is what I think is best, almost like as a joke. But really, you're tapping into this Bina Yisera. Hashem gave us Bina Yisera. Hashem gave us wives and mothers, Bina Yisera, to be able to build our home, grow our home, nurture our home in the best way. And we have that. Like, as I'm saying that, as you're telling me that, like, it's such an encouraging, empowering, like, almost like backbone. Like, oh, Hashem trusts me. Hashem gave me this Bina Yisera. Not to say I don't need to ask for help. Not to say I don't need advice. Not to say that we don't ask when something comes up. But Hashem put this within me. And I think that that's the part that connects so nicely to this pasuk of this inner strength, like the Matzoros David was saying. It comes from within, from herself. Miskaberes, of this strength, this courage that comes up. It's within us. It's the Bina Yisera. It's the strength within us, the knowing within us. And sometimes, like you said, we have the thoughts, we have the emotions, we have the actions, and those are all so interrelated, and one feeds into another. And I believe that different women will connect to either changing the emotion more, changing the thought more, changing the action more, meaning depends on the situation, but it's kind of this trifecta of our emotions, beliefs, and our actions relate so nicely together. And they really can relate so nicely together when we, like you said, clear the smoke and we stop the negative cycle and then, hopefully tap into our Bina Yisera and find the strength within, find the knowledge of what to do and the strength within. And I want to ask one more thing, which again, I think is going to hopefully help people listening. Are there times in our lives where we're on survival mode? And yes, we can work on this, and yes, we can try to make it into thriving, but like, are there times where it's just, we're in survival right now, and that's just where Hashem put us, and hopefully it's not going to last for months and years. But right now, I'm putting one foot in front of the other. I'm getting up, I'm taking care of my family. I'm definitely trying, but where does survival mode, kind of fall into this?
So you're saying a very important thing because I do remember those years. My youngest is 20, married, thank God. So I do remember those years that, you want to wake them up to send them off to school and you want them to come home again just to put them back to bed again. That idea of, busy, everything. I was never working outside of the home, so I cannot speak to any woman that's working, the 9 to 5.
Right.
But I was a full-time, mom all those years. And it's a lot of work and it's just like, yeah, survival mode. So I want to just add something to the survival mode thing that I believe it's very important. And I'm going to start with marriage now, I hope. And I don't know how many of your listeners are actually married. If you are, so then you'll be able to take this lesson home. When you can work on and deeply connect with, work on the relationship with your husband and learn what it means to deeply connect with your husband, whether it's spiritually, emotionally, or physically, I believe that's where a woman can reset all of her batteries and get everything that she needs so she can, yes, meet another day of survival. I hate to say that it's called survival. Yes, there are times of survival, but you're going to get wiped out. You cannot stay in survival.
Right,
We know
right.
from a physical sense, when we have our nervous system is turned on, it's going to get wiped out. It's going to get exhausted.
It's not sustainable.
Very well said. Good for you. It's not sustainable to stay in survival. So we do not want that.
Right.
We want to find some sense of stability, cope, and hope. I like the hope point very,
I
very
think
much.
that there's times of our lives where we're coping, and then it can lead to hoping, and then it can lead to thriving.
Right. Beautifully said. Yeah, coping also is very empowering. Just surviving is kind of like, you get another breath. When I'm coping, I'm on top of things. I'm managing.
Right.
So, yeah, I
Maybe
think we have to learn to be managers, which means that we're on top of the wave. We're not being, pulled under. I want to add one more thing, if I could, if you don't mind, Rachelli. You said about being a Yisera. So let me add a little point about being a Yisera. In the pasuk, the Torah says, "Vayivan es hatzela." When HaKadosh Baruch Hu created Chava, there Rashi says, "Vayivan milashan." What'd you say? Being a Yisera. That when he created, it uses the word Vayivan, and we get from that Bina, and there's being a Yisera. Chazanish, if I'm not mistaken, says there, Yiras Shamayim. We have two mitzvahs in our life that we have to be almost like born with Yiras Shamayim in order to be able to do those mitzvahs. Tahara and kashrus. Just think about it. There's no mashgiach breathing down our neck in either one of these two things. We're trusted with these two things. So I'd like to add this idea of Yiras Shamayim, which has always helped me in my life. Yiras Shamayim from the lashon of Re'iyah, seeing. I see Hashem in my life. I am aware of his presence. When I live my life with my husband and my children, knowing that Hashem is in my home with me, I look at it like, wow, of course I'm going to have strength. Of course I'm going to have hope. Hashem is right there with me. He's our partner. So I don't have to lose hope or lose strength because Hashem is right there with me.
That's so nice. That's so encouraging to me to hear that. So thank you for sharing that. Okay, I am so grateful that you came on and shared your wisdom with us. Thank you for enlightening us on this topic of how to find strength, the steps to find strength, and that we all really have it within ourselves. If you would like to connect with Julie Devorah, hear from her, she is also the author of Messages from Julie Devorah, a beloved weekly email corresponding to the Parsha, filled with insight, heart, and inspiration. You can sign up for that at www.juliedevorahbrown.com. That is Devorah with an E and without an H, juliedevorahbrown.com. And feel free to connect with her via email at juliedevorahbrown@gmail.com. Thank you so, so much, Julie Devorah, for being on. I have learned a tremendous amount, and I hope everybody listening also does. It was so amazing getting to know you. So thank you so much.
This was a treat. Continue to do these wonderful things, right? She's terrific, everybody. But what Rachelli doing for us is really great. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. Please reach out and email us with any questions or thoughts. We would love to hear from you. Stay tuned for some more good vibes.